Rob Kendall, along with Tyler Bless, the head coach of the Plainfield Quakers. Coach, how's it going?
Going well. How are you?
Great. Obviously, great start to sectional action. Big win on Friday night. Super dominating. You kind of got the result you expected, so you got to be real thrilled with the kickoff to the postseason.
Yeah, obviously that was a good way to get it going, and we get to practice for another week and get ready to host a sectional championship here on Friday night.
What do you take out of a game like that? Obviously, you're the better football team. You're just a more talented football team. I mean, from the opening play, right? They go to the distance right out of the gate for you guys. Like, so what do you take out of that? How do you judge, hey, we did a pretty good job?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that go into that. Of like, we still want our kids to do their job with great attitude and great effort and great execution. You still have to play between the white lines and between the whistles of doing what we're asking them to do. Fortunately, we were able to do that. The second thing is probably coming out of the game healthy, and we were able to do that as well. And then the third one is to try to get some kids in that might not always have the opportunity to get in certain games. So to try to fulfill that was probably the third most important thing to accomplish on Friday night.
Well, let's kind of talk about some of the things you did do. You did the things you want to do well, and that was run the football. And how much of it, when you're at in a game like that, is say, hey, we're not going to show anything special. We're going to do things we do. We're going to do it well. In this case now, and we'll get to in a second, Decatur Central. They know what we do well, but let's do those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the solar eclipse, like where it only happens probably like every, I don't know, 10, 15 years. But like we had 14 offensive plays on Friday night. So uh, that's very obviously the running clock in the second half affects that. We had one offensive play in the second half, which was a touchdown by Corin McGill. So like that first quarter, you're still calling the things that you've always called. You want your kids to go out and execute. Obviously, you're trying to move the ball. You're trying to score. We were able to do all those things. I thought our defense played well, able to give us, kind of a short field to work with, and then our kids were able to capitalize and do the things that they needed to do, to get that running clock going in the second half.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I think this is the biggest takeaway is you're able to give some playing time in a postseason game to some kids who may not throughout the course of the year get a lot of playing time, and now they can say, hey, we played in a sectional game.
Yeah, and we're unfortunately not able to play everybody, and that's something that at times we got to live with, and we got to know that like um, it's hard to do that, especially when you have 75 plus kids on your roster and a running clock in the situations like that. That game happens very fast in the second half, and you get very limited possessions. Obviously, on offense, we had one. One of that being the reasons because of like Jordan Myers' pick six. Obviously gave the defense another possession. So we're able to do those things and get some of those kids in, like we said, and kind of try to get some of those kids on special teams as well.
One of the things that's been talked about is the idea of seeding sectional action, and I don't know how that would work. Somebody way above my pay grade, but how do you feel about that? Because obviously, look, you got kind of three really super even teams in the sectional this year, and then obviously Anderson just not quite to the level of the other teams. Is there some merit to that where you seed these teams or try to get something different than what we had Friday night?
Um, I I go back and forth. Like the ping pong system has worked for a very long time. Sometimes you get really good draws. Sometimes you get not so good at draws. I think if you're going to start somewhere, possibly seeding the sectional would probably be the first place to go. And whether that's by the win loss record or the strength of schedule or what that matchup would be like, because we play Whiteland and Decatur obviously in the regular season. So I think there's probably some merit to seeding the sectional. I know last year our coaches association tried to seed the North and the South by like the top 16 teams, and that was shot down fairly quickly by the higher ups. But um, I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. Unfortunately, there's going to be some years where we get really good draws, and there's some years where we just don't have the opportunity to do maybe what we were able to do on Friday night.
Now, before we get to Decatur Central, you're wearing a hat today. This is the first coach's show this year. You've worn a hat. What's going
I,
on?
uh, daylight savings time, and I have really bad bedhead, and I was lazy to not shower this morning. So
Okay.
I
Well,
showered last night for all the 6 people that listen.
yeah,
But
your
yeah,
fans. All right, so
so
Decatur Central, Friday night. Obviously, it's been just a great season. The one blemish on the record this year is Decatur Central. Let's start with just remind everybody what the Hawks kind of bring to the table.
yeah, I mean they've rolled off some really good wins here. This 3/4 of the season, they're 7-2. They played Whiteland at home Friday night, and they won 28-14. Um, they're doing a lot of really good things on offense. Obviously the quarterback is solid, and he's got some skill guys to throw the ball to, and they're trying to get the ball out of his hands quick and make those guys just be good athletes. And you've got to tackle in the open field like we saw in week 6 versus us. But they do obviously still have the capability of running the ball, and they want to run pin and pull and power and kind of be a ground and pound team. Defensively, they're going to put 7-8 guys in the box, and they're going to have a very aggressive defensive line. And then they've got obviously those skill guys in the back end to kind of save anything that goes over the top. So they're again very well coached. Nothing's really changed since we played them last time. A lot of it is um, it's a common opponent, obviously, but it's one of those things where like we said to our team after that loss on that Saturday afternoon, if we do it correctly, we'll have an opportunity to play those guys again. And here we are. We got what we wanted. Now it's time to go do it.
So let's talk about that. Obviously, that game was a game that was canceled, well, on a Friday night due to weather. You had to come back on a Saturday, middle of the day, as I recall. How much did that factor in, having to play that game on a Saturday, or is it, hey, man, they were just the better team that day? Kind of take us back to that and talk about what you learned or what you took away from that regular season encounter.
Well, the playing on the Saturday is totally out of our control. So like that kind, in my opinion, is a mute point. I think if you're looking for an excuse of like, well, we didn't play on Friday night, so that's why we don't like. I don't buy into that. I think you got to control what you can control, and those things that we did not do. We turned the ball over 3 times. We gave them great field position that turned into points. We didn't get them off the field on 3rd and long and 4th and long. We weren't great tacklers in the open field. We weren't sharp enough on special teams. So I don't really go back to anything and saying, well, we lost that game because we played on a Saturday afternoon. We lost that game because we made too many mistakes and they capitalized off of it. And that's what a good football team does. So those are the things that we get to control this week in practice, and the things that we get to talk about. The weather obviously looks fine for Friday. So I think that'll be, kind of a wash, and we're expecting a great game on both ends.
Um, how much of an advantage is it to play a team that you've played before? Now, obviously, the scoreboard wasn't the way you wanted it to be, but you've now seen these guys, right? Like you know what they want to do. I guess the other side of it is they know what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, to go where we want to go, we're going to have to beat teams like this, and we know that. I'm going to guess that they know that they have goals, they have aspirations. I'm assuming. Obviously, it's a common opponent because we play them every week or every year in conference, and then they've been in our sectionals the last handful of years. So it's one of those things where like you're in the off season, like you're going to get the opportunity to either play Whiteland twice or Decatur twice, and um, we put a little bit more stock in some of those things on what we do and how we speak to our kids on those certain weeks, and it being a sectional opponent, but. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control, and that's just doing the things that have gotten us here. The one that we stubbed our toe on in week 6, we didn't play very well on all 3 phases. We showed spots of it. We fought back up on the kickoff return. So like we're very well capable of being in that game. If certain things don't happen, you have to give them credit because they were the ones that made those plays and capitalized off of them. But we don't need our kids to be, to play out of their minds.
We lost you real quick, but we got you back. And through the magic of technology, nobody will ever know the difference. Yeah, you were just saying, and we were talking about this. Look, it's such a double-edged sword playing a team that you've seen twice, but or seen once before, and now you'll see them twice. So just real quick, anything you try to do different, or you just say, hey, we got to do the things we do better this time because if we'd have done those better the first time, we would have won.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. You could probably look at a little bit of where did they get us at on offense? Where did they get us at on defense? Um, Look at it from a play calling standpoint of like, okay, well, that was really good that we did it right there, or that was an awful third down call on my end. So like those are things that you can kind of self scout and look at. Okay, we've had success against this. We've done it well versus other teams. It's kind of been our bread and butter. Or hey, you look at it and say, okay, we had a game plan there, or we had a thought. It didn't go well. How can we adjust? How can we put our kids in a better situation to be successful the next time around? So a little bit of both of like looking at yourself in the mirror and then hey guys, we've done this for 10 straight weeks. We've done it since April. We're going to continue to do what we do.
Real quick, let's thank our sponsors, Remax Centerstone, Julia Burbridge, Gunnell Financial, Crone Family Construction, My AT&D, Ryan Grimes, I-70 Wrecker Service and Garage, BGW Construction LLC, Legacy Motorsports, Crest Point Real Estate, Chris Pearson, Sell with Jones, the Stewart Home Group, and Ellis and Associates. How much does it mean to have this game at home? I mean, we've been doing this a long, 18 years now or something like that. We've had some horrible draws over the years, and this is kind of a good one, right? We got the game at home, and then we get another at home. How much does it mean to have this big game at home?
I think it's really important. We kind of make it um, I would say a staple in our program that like we want to win every home game. We want to have home field advantage. We want this to be a tough place for people to come in and play. We want our kids to be excited to play at home. I think our student section, our parents, our crowd has done a good job of filling those stands and having our support this year. I know our kids appreciate it. I appreciate it. It makes things a little bit easier on your day to day. On like Friday, you get to go home for a little bit longer. So having it at home is very nice. The benefit of having it back to back weeks is kind of the.
All right, Coach. Well, we look forward to a big win on Friday night. Let's get some revenge. Let's bring home a sectional championship and look forward to talking to you next Monday.
Okay, thanks, Rob.